have been badgered by the press about our conduct, and I suppose that that's happened across the country with 433 other members. So I think they had a great deal of faith in you and the press. But I have to tell you that you lose a little faith in the press when you said earlier in this program that we closed the bank and then that was all that we were going to do about it. The fact is that in the same resolution that we closed the bank, we set up the ethics committee. Then you ran a headline on tonight saying that the restaurant tab was $300,000. Norman Ornstein will tell you that's not right. So we've got a lot of work to do to correct what you put out on the air.
But you make it sound like it was the job of reporters to badger each individual congressman. Why isn't it the obligation, when this scandal breaks, for Congress to disclose all the information about all of its members' activities?
I also mentioned the constituents because I think it's a matter between our constituents and us. The other thing is that we all recognize that this dispersing office was amateur hour by hour, and for the last 40 years, and that they had screwed up so many of our accounts, we didn't know whether we had bounced any checks or not. I've got a letter from the Sergeant-at-Arms saying I haven't. I'm a new member, and I don't think I have. I've looked over all my records, and this has been a very tough thing. It's also a privacy issue. A lot of people didn't think that they were going to come to Congress and have to turn over their medical records to you or their banking records. But now we've got this on our hands. It's not the Teapot Dome scandal, and it's certainly not Watergate. But the feeding frenzy that Norman mentioned earlier is certainly being fed by people in the press who aren't asking tough questions.
Congressman LaRocco, I want to pick up on something you said, and let me bring in Congressman Riggs at this point. What about this privacy issue? Do you think that this is a privacy issue and that members of Congress somehow shouldn't divulge information?
I certainly don't. I mean, my colleague from Idaho leaves out the fact that this PERG system, which is an extension of the overall spoils system in the House of Representatives, evolved over several decades. But he doesn't make the point that, in fact, the public has a right to know how we conduct ourselves in all of our congressional duties, and in terms of taking advantage of the House bank check cashing privilege. We were certainly required, in my mind, to comply with a standard that would apply also to the American people.
Well, then, see, Frank Riggs should ask the President and the Vice President, because they were members of the House of Representatives, to turn over their records to the press tomorrow. And I don't know if my colleague is going to do that. Why don't you do that?
That is so much baloney, because, as Larry LaRocco well knows, the time frame that we're talking about here is a 39-month time period examined by the GAO and the Ethics Committee. It applies to Republicans and Democrats alike, present members of the House and 55 former members.
How about the
cabinet members? What we're asking here, frankly, is for the members of Congress. If I can finish the point, if the members of Congress, Republicans and Democrats alike, be subjected to a simple common sense standard, and when the House Ethics Committee came back and said, no, we're not going to do anything along those lines, we're going to have a limited disclosure here, limited to the 24 most egregious abusers, our Gang of Seven, which has kept this issue alive since last year when Speaker Foley took the House floor and said,
gentlemen, let me bring in our third guest so he gets a chance to appear on this broadcast. Norman Ornstein, it becomes clear that even though all sides have agreed to total disclosure tonight, that they've really settled nothing. This political debate is going to continue hot and heavy for some time, isn't it?
The wounds have been rubbed raw over and over again on this issue, Chris. And of course, part of it is that this arose in October. It came out of a GAO investigation, General Accounting Office, that had been ordered by Congress itself. And of course, we know several facts here that need to be put on the table right at the beginning. This was not a bank. It was basically a cooperative depository, a dispersing office. The only money in it was the money from the members' paychecks and other deposits that they themselves made, not taxpayer dollars. It had no FDIC protection as a bank would have. No NOW accounts, no interest was paid to anybody.
But wait a minute, Mr. Ornstein, you have elected officials writing 20,000 bad checks for millions of dollars. Don't you think that's a legitimate public issue?
Let's talk about
let me let Mr. Ornstein answer, Congressman.
This is definitely a legitimate public issue. But the facts that this involves, that it is not a bank in the traditional sense, that it didn't involve taxpayers' money, are rarely mentioned in any of these stories and haven't been mentioned in the first 15 minutes of the broadcast. This was stuff that was put across the front pages with inaccurate information from lazy reporting that hyped it into something that's much greater than it was. And we know that it's going to be extremely complicated when we have this so-called full disclosure. We're not going to be able to find out, because of the nature of these records, really what was involved here. You could have a check that was bounced that is supposedly $10,000, where there might have been $9,999 in the bank, and somebody else bounced a check for $5 when there was nothing in the bank, and they'll be treated in the same way. It's going to be the subject of even more distorted information and partisan attacks.
Chris, let me just point out that the These two gentlemen are speaking about this situation as if it were an isolated instance. And I am telling you that this is a manifestation of the cancer that is growing on the Congress. It has almost become a situation back here where we have a scandal of the month. We have a House bank, a House post office that are completely mismanaged by patronage employees who, in fact, no matter what protest you might hear to the contrary, are efforts at political spin, are in fact employees, appointments, patronage employees of the House Democratic Caucus.
Chris.
And the reality here is what we want is to air all this out, give this information to the public. They can, in fact, despite what everybody around here might think, as they tremble with fear about their political careers, the
I have
public
no
can be
problem with disclosure.
Gentlemen, I have to break in briefly. I promise you we're going to come back, and when we do, I want to ask all of you just how many congressmen you believe that this scandal is going to bring down in November. And we'll continue our discussion in a moment.
Maytag refrigerator. It's not only durable, it's adjustable, so that whatever the future holds, your Maytag will too. Buy one now and get the best warranty in the business.
Here goes my future.
I'm alive, William Hines.
I'm alive, Michael Hines.
For a free list of cars with airbags, see your Allstate agent.
Your breakfast, sir.
This new Kellogg's Frosted Bran is quite sensible. Crispy flakes with whole wheat and bran, lightly frosted for a taste.
A taste that's delicious. I love it. I love it. Love it, love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. I love it.
And new Kellogg's Frosted Bran has less sugar than you'd imagine.
But the taste, it's out of...
We've got to stop serving this.
New Kellogg's Frosted Bran, wildly delicious, sensibly good.
An eclipse in the heavens usually lasts only a few minutes. But right now, a special lease rate on an eclipse is scheduled to last slightly longer. For $500 down and as little as $149 a month, you can try the new eclipse. But this offer ends soon. Hurry in before it slips by. Mitsubishi, the word is getting around.
Marcia Davis has a new job with a better salary, profit-sharing, savings plan, and a new world of tax complexities. That's why there's Executive Tax Service, part of the H&R Block team, a cost-effective year-round income tax preparation service designed to meet even complex tax needs. Call 1-800-TAX-2000 for information and the H&R Block Executive Tax Service office nearest you.
Shall we begin?
It's time.
Between having a career and having a family,
Do you think I want to be away from you?
Dottie Ingalls made the only choice she could. Both. This is a wonderful film, raves Joel Siegel. 4 stars. Fresh and funny, says Gene Shalit.
I'm not going to be away so much anymore, okay?
From Nora Ephron, the writer of When Harry Met Sally.
But if something great comes up, I'll do it.
This is my life.
It's time to go to bed now.
Rated PG-13. Starts tomorrow at a theater near you.
They all grew up in the same neighborhood. Now they all have autistic children. How could it happen? A medical mystery. Watch 2020 Friday.
Continuing our discussion now on the House banking scandal, Congressman LaRocco, how will this cut politically? Because of the fact that there are more Democrats in the House, it seems likely that there will be more Democrats on the list of offenders, but you just mentioned a moment ago that there could also be some big Republican names on the list as well, former members who've gone on to the Bush White House. What do you know about that?
Well, I think that if people are so hot for full disclosure, I think that that's only fair to ask that question about members of the cabinet that used to serve in the House.
Such as?
Well, we've had Madigan, we have Cheney, and we have Martin. And then we have the vice president, the president himself.
Do you have any reason to believe that any of them were abusers of?
No more, but I mean, I'll tell you what the real cancer that's gripping the House is demagoguery, and there are 7 freshmen that have a bad case of it, need treatment for it. I think that they'll say anything so that the Republicans can and take over this House. And I'll tell you, they say things and do things by their silence. Let me tell you that point that Norman made about the overdraft amounts. Now, you're not talking about overdraft amounts when you mention these millions of dollars. You're talking about the amount of the check. And these freshmen, the Gang of Seven, the Young Turks as they call themselves, by their silence, they won't say that to the press. They'll just let the press feed on themselves and take this on into a feeding frenzy without dealing with the facts. Here's the report here.
Congressman, we're not making this up. I mean, when you have someone who wrote 900 bad checks.
I don't deny that.
For hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Right.
It's a serious offense, is it not?
Oh, it's a serious offense, and these people ought to pay.
So let's not pretend that we're talking about a few people writing very small checks.
All I'm looking for is accuracy, Chris, and I think that's only fair to everybody. But but you know, people think that you know, if you stand up and you ask for the truth, like you ran $300,000 there on the screen a few minutes ago, all I'd like is for an accurate figure. And Norman Ornstein can tell you that figure. So if I ask for accuracy, I don't think that's too much to ask for. I mean, we got people that are going to go through a great deal of turmoil here. A lot of them, it's rightly so.
Let's talk a little bit, if we can, about that turmoil. Congressman Riggs, one of the Republican leaders, Newt Gingrich, suggested that this might cost 30 to 65 seats in the November election. Do you think it's going to be that damaging?
I have no idea, Chris. I haven't even stopped to consider the political considerations in this coming election cycle. And it's really unfortunate that this debate has now degenerated into yet another partisan food fight with a sort of a side course of a lot of press bashing going on. It's an indication of how weak the spin is coming from the other side.
But wait a minute, when you have the Republican chairman in the House of the campaign, Guy Vanderjack, talking about how delighted he is that this is going to show how corrupt this institution is, and he's talking about a Democratic-run institution, you can't pretend that there isn't politics involved here.
No, I'm not denying that in the slightest.
See?
But I say let the political chips fall where they may. And as to my colleague from Idaho, let me just tell him that the Gang of Seven is now a gang of millions. Those were the exact words of people phoning into my office yesterday. And our Gang of Seven, you know, it's really unfortunate to hear from someone on the other side of the aisle who has opted in the short time that he's been here, 14 months, to become part of the problem and not part of the solution.
Well, I don't. I take that pretty seriously.
Buy into politics is
let me try and answer
usual,
your question,
and be part of the. If I just may finish the point.
Well,
to be part of the go along to get along crowd, because those institutional pressures, the pressures to conform, the pressures even to condone the kind of behavior we're seeing here, when these large overdrafts can be considered nothing other than interest-free loans, unreported, undisclosed to the public, is really extraordinary in my view.
I haven't condoned that behavior,
I hope
Frank.
not.
And,
I hope not. I'd like to hear you specifically come out and condemn it, Larry, and then maybe you
watch
get on the
my
right
votes
side
tonight.
of this issue.
Well,
I will be.
Right to you perhaps, but you watch my votes tonight.
Like
you watch my statement. Just because I have a better sense of this institution than you do doesn't mean that I've co-opted. I came here as an agent of change, and I'll tell you.
Let me bring in Norm Ornstein. You know, you've accused us of exaggerating the scandal, and I wonder, are we also exaggerating its impact? Every time we get one of these scandals in Washington, we all talk about how it's going to just cause tremendous upheaval in Congress, and then about 98% of those congressmen who seek re-election are voted in again. What do you think the political impact of this will be in November?
This is going to be considerable in a couple of ways, and I think what we've had here is a number of scandals that have been hyped beyond what in fact they are. We're going to see some incumbents defeated. Remember, though, we're 8 months away from the election. A year ago, we thought the vote on the Gulf War was going to be the be-all and end-all of the congressional elections. I don't think we'll find one person who will really be seriously affected by that. We're going to probably see a significant number, maybe 20 or 25 incumbents defeated, where this is a major issue. More significant, Chris, we're going to see more retirements, and we're going to see a lot greater problem getting good people to run. You know, the kind of stuff that Congressman Riggs is saying is a long-standing tradition of people bashing their own institution as they run for Congress. We've seen it for a long time around here. That's taken its toll on the institution, and that is also, that along with the kind of reporting, is going to lead to a situation where we're going to get nothing but demagogues, millionaires, and people who think they're Mother Teresa trying to run. And once the Mother Teresas come here, we'll find a scandal with them.
I'd like to see a few more people, perhaps with those kind of instincts, run for Congress. But I tell you what, you defend the institution, and I'll defend doing the right thing. I'll defend any time if you would care to discuss it further, why integrity, why restoring the integrity, and therefore the public trust in this institution, and therefore our effectiveness and our credibility to get legislation accomplished,
to bring a different administrative system. I'm all for changing the ethics system to have other people, former members in particular, run the place.
And I'll tell you,
I also think that if I had the choice between having the so-called perk of the House Bank, a non-interest-bearing account with the kind of overdraft protection they have, and what I have as a private citizen...
There was no overdraft protection. There was. Let's be clear on this. There was no overdraft protection.
We have the tyranny of the clock, and we're going to simply have to end this here. It is clearly going to be unanimous or a near unanimous vote tonight for full disclosure, but there is no agreement, it appears, on what it all means and where this scandal is headed. Mr. Ornstein, Congressman, thank you both. Thank you all for joining us tonight. And we'll be back in a moment.
We Americans have some very particular ideas of what we want in our cars and trucks.
I feel like the car's like wrapped around.
One company gets input from customers at every stage of new product development to find out exactly what they're looking for. That may be why 5 of the top 10 selling vehicles in America are built by the same company, Ford Motor Company.
With your help, our quality gets better all the time.
Ford Motor Company. Quality is job one. It's working. It's working.
Now there's another way to plug into freshness. New Glade plug-in shell.
Plug it in, plug it in.
A new shell design and 2 new fresh scents.
Plug it in, plug it in.
It gently warms this refill cartridge for 30 days of freshness.
Freshen up the air. Freshen everywhere. Plug it in, plug it in.
Glade plug-ins and new Glade plug-in shell.
Plug it in.
From SC Johnson Wax.
Can you tell me where I can get cash with this?
You go down this way and you make a right.
Cash?
You know, the thing is, with that card, I don't know where. That's the problem.
Looking for cash without MasterCard isn't exactly easy.
And there's a corset store there. Now you go through that corset store, they don't buy.
But with MasterCard, you can get cash just about anywhere at nearly 200,000 bank branches and 60,000 ATMs. So count on MasterCard and master the moment.
Third row.
Here comes the baby. Push so we can get the baby's head out.
Give it a push now.
A little more. A little more. Give it a push now.
Breathe through your nose.
Stay like that.
Oh, it's a beautiful
Here we go.
I can't believe it.
Look at that. Oh. It's a little girl.
For U.S. and Israeli leaders, a political minefield, the controversy over loan guarantees.
Then can these glasses improve your vision? Also, Jack Palance on Good Morning America tomorrow.
Tomorrow on Nightline, we'll look at the trial of gangster John Gotti, a case that's spotlighting the secret world of the mafia. And that's our report for tonight. I'm Chris Wallace in Washington. For all of us here at ABC News, good night.
This has been Nightline.
Saturday, the teacher of the year. Hi, honey. Could be a child molester.
He tied a towel over my face.
You were going to destroy an innocent man.
Do you have any idea what that little girl looked like when we found her?
The commish, Saturday.
Step up to American and stand up for real value during our red, white, and blue sale at Stewart Chrysler Dodge. During this sale, we're offering incredible price reductions on every car in stock. Like this new Dodge Caravan for only $13,991 or $295 a month. It's time to buy American, and the biggest savings on the best-built American cars are being offered now during the red, white, and blue sale only at Stewart Chrysler Dodge. A comfortable place to buy a car.
For all the babies born today and yesterday and all the days before, for all the first words and first steps and countless lullabies sung, there's a special kind of love and nurturing on the part of our experienced medical team that help these small wonders on their way to life. And it's these bright young stars that inspire us to excellence at your community medical center, Lawnwood Regional Medical Center. So drift off to dreamland, little ones. We're proud to be a part of your wonderful experience.
Hi, I'm Paul Weiserack, inviting you to be my guest this weekend at Simply the Best Marine Sales.
Check out our great values on Regal sport boats and cruises, as well as Mako, Proline, and Regulator fishing boats. Plus, you may win a 3-day Bahamas trip for 2. So bring the family and join the fun. This weekend at Simply the Best Marine. Regal, Mako, Proline, and Regulator, all simply the best. On US 1, just 2 miles north of the Jupiter Inlet. I'll be looking for you.
Doppler Plus radar, every hour on the hour from Weather Center 25.